I used to be the bottom of the barrel. Understand that. For half a century, when Americans wanted a name that meant corruption, abuse of power, contempt for the law, they didn't have to think. They said mine. Richard Nixon, it rolled off the tongue like a verdict. Nixonian became an adjective. I was the standard, the benchmark, the man you pointed to and said, never again. And I accepted it. I lived with it. I carried it into every room, every conversation, every line of my obituary in waiting, because I knew what I had done. I broke the law. I tried to hide it. I used the machinery of government to protect myself. And when it became undeniable, when the evidence closed in, when even my allies could no longer pretend I made a calculation, not a moral epiphany, let's not romanticize it, a calculation, the country or me. And for one of the only times in my life, I chose the country. I resigned. I walked away from the most powerful office on earth in disgrace because I understood something that now seems almost extinct, that there is a line, and when you cross it, you do not get to redefine it. You leave. And then history did something extraordinary. It lowered the bar. It lowered the bar for Donald Trump. And suddenly, astonishingly, I am no longer the cautionary tale. I am the opening act. What I did required secrecy, planning, a certain discipline. What he does in broad daylight. No subtlety, no strategy, no respect for law, for truth, for the basic architecture that holds a republic together. Where I feared exposure, he revels in it. Where I understood limits, he denies they exist. Where I eventually bowed to reality, he wages war on it, relentlessly. The chaos is not incidental, it is the method. The corruption is not hidden, it is flaunted. The criminality, the self-dealing, the open contempt for institutions, it's not even disguised as governance. It's in-your-face spectacle. And what is most corrosive, more than any break-in, more than any tape, is the normalization of it. The insistence that nothing matters. That truth is optional. That law is negotiable. That loyalty to one man outweighs loyalty to the Constitution. Even I knew better. Even at my worst, I understood that the presidency is borrowed power. You hold it. You do not own it. And when you abuse it beyond repair, you surrender it. That was the bargain. Now, the bargain is gone. There is no surrender, no admission, no boundary that cannot be crossed and then denied. Only escalation. And so, here we are. For the first time in modern American history, no one looks at me and says, there is the worst of it. No, I have been surpassed. Not redeemed, don't mistake me, but eclipsed. History has moved on to a darker chapter, and I, improbably, have become a footnote in someone else's excess. I resigned to salvage what little could be salvaged of the office, of the system, even of myself. I accepted a pardon that carried with it an unspoken confession that I was guilty and that the law still meant something. That mattered. It allowed me, however imperfectly, to return as a serious observer of the world, to speak on foreign policy, on power, on the fragile balance between nations. People listened, not because they forgave me, but because I had, at the end, acknowledged reality. Tell me, who is waiting for a thoughtful word now? Who is looking to Donald Trump for insight, for restraint, for wisdom on the world stage? Who believes there will ever be a moment, just one, where he says, I was wrong, enough? There is no such moment coming, because that would require something I eventually found, and he never will: a boundary, a limit, a recognition that power ends. I was the warning. He is what happens when the warning is ignored, and a new adjective has been born: Trumpian.